Hi Chris, and welcome to the Teslon podcast.
Thank you very much.
I've no idea how it's going to go, and I haven't really got an agenda with you, but this is just for you to tell your story.
Cool.
And thanks for joining me today.
You're very welcome.
I wanted to start the podcast off, there's a bit of a snail on the table there, with, I don't know if you remember, but I talked with Pip on a panel with Lucy at the Expo, and I've got a picture downstairs that always flicks up on the screen, and you and Caroline were sat talking to each other. You had a green bubble jacket. I don't know what you were saying to each other, but I always think, I wonder if you can remember that conversation or not. I don't know if you can remember it or not, because I was extremely nervous that day on stage, and I don't know if you remember it or not.
No, I know what I was saying to her.
What?
I was saying, we need to do that. We need to find a way to get on the panel. We need to do what Ryan's doing. That's exactly what I was saying. Yeah. Because I think you came across great. You really did. It's really interesting, isn't it? What we feel on the inside isn't what we portray on the outside, and I thought you came across really well. Yeah,
I was petrified that day. But yeah, it's interesting, and what you do go through internally when you're doing these things. But once you've been through it, you're like, why have I not been doing that for ages?
Yeah, exactly right. It's never as bad as it seems, is it?
No, that's true. Yeah. So I would like to get to know you a little bit better, and I want to know about your franchise and how that started. Yeah. But what did you do before that? Why? How have you got there? I know you're from Birmingham, but how did it all start? Go back to the beginning. What school, education?
Sure. So local primary, local.
Did you love school? Were you good, bad, or indifferent? Or did you get kicked out or anything? Or
I wasn't too bad. My headmaster described me as mischievous. Yeah. Never any malice in anything I did, but I could get up to my fair share of mischief. Yeah. But no, I was never kicked out or anything like that. And I went through school quite happily, but once senior school had finished, then college and university wasn't for me. No. Despite the fact that I believe education is really, really important, I suppose I sought my education in a different way. So I went off and did a youth trainee scheme, and I joined a factory company called Wyco, and I was only there for a few months, doing a little bit of administration. Yeah. But it was my first taste of the world of work. And then shortly after that, I joined West Bromwich Building Society. Right. And there my career started, if you like, and I found a great mentor, a guy called Tony, and he really helped and guided and shaped me as an adult and gave me lots and lots of opportunities and helped me to build my career. And I suppose then from the age of 18 all the way through to my early 30s, I was at the West Bromwich Building Society, starting off on a youth training scheme with them in their training department, which is where my passion for training came from, all the way through to regional management, looking after a third of their branch network.
Shout out to that company though. Wow. It's great, that, isn't it?
Oh, they were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant for me in my career. And particularly Tony, I think if you're going to get on, you need a sponsor. You need somebody who's in your corner, cheering you on, giving you belief in yourself, if you like, and exposing you to different things which can help you to learn and develop.
It's them seeing the belief in you, isn't it? Yeah. That's what you want. You just need someone to believe in you and see that you've got it in you, and then they just take you to it.
It's amazing because people see something in you before you see it in yourself.
Yeah, it's 100% true. I love that.
So that was my that was the start of my career, if you like. And then I left West Bromwich Building Society in my early 30s. I know you wouldn't believe it, but I'm in my mid-40s now. And I worked for a couple of years for the Derbyshire and Cheshire Building Society.
Did you have a family? Have you got a family?
Yeah, we have, yeah.
So are you married with kids? Or?
I've married and we've got 2 boys. Yeah.
So was this at West Bromwich or was this...
No, this was just afterwards. So, and this is how the story comes together, I guess. I left West Bromwich, went to work for the Cheshire Building Society, who were then taken over by the Nationwide Building Society, and they took over the Derbyshire Building Society at the same time. And they moved me to the Derbyshire brand. It was just geographically, it was closer to home. I'm still in the Midlands. And it was whilst I was at the Derbyshire that I met my wife, Gemma.
Ah, right.
And we met and were married, and she was pregnant with our first, all within about 18 months.
No messing about.
No messing about. No. It rained on our honeymoon. And we came back with with a bun in the oven, shall we say. So Max was born then in the June of 2012, and he's now 10. And we had Noah 3 years later.
I love that. Yeah. So Gemma, your wife, what did she in the same sector, doing the same thing as you?
Yeah, she worked at the Derbyshire Building Society Financial Services, worked her way through from cashier, if you like, through to branch management. And then I left Nationwide in 2015, approximately 2015, and No, I didn't. No, get my years right. I left Nationwide in 2012 when Max was born, and I was able to have a year off. So Gemma had her maternity leave for a year.
And you had a year off?
And I had a year's break at that point. So we both got to spend the first year of our first child's life.
How did you wangle that?
With him.
How did you wangle a year off?
I don't know, sometimes the pieces of the jigsaw just fall into place, and it just worked for us at that time. And it was during that year that we got to spend with Max, which was fab.
Yeah, that.
I started to think about what's next for my career. And like I said, that passion for training was born when I was 18 years old. And over the years, I've talked constantly with people about, I want to run my own training company, or I want to work in the world of training. I really believe training makes a difference. Yeah. And I then started to look for opportunities. And it was actually a former colleague at the West Bromwich Building Society, a guy called Paul, who'd invested in a Pitman Training franchise. Right. So I spoke with him about Pitman Training, and he was selling his businesses in Shrewsbury and Telford. And I had a look at them, but I didn't buy them. Geographically, it wasn't the right spot for me. But as part of that research, if you like, I got to meet the people at Pitman Training. I got to meet a guy called Yowie, who was one of their franchise development managers, and Mike, who was their franchise recruitment manager. And they said, look, Birmingham's coming up. And that was 10 miles down the road, great city, wonderful place. And so it made sense for me to do that. And I was able to purchase the Birmingham territory from the then franchise owners. And I began that when Max was about 1 year old. And away we go. You know, I'm now a franchisee in Pitman Training, and the last 10 years have flown by.
Tell me a bit about Pitman. What do they do exactly? What is it you do day to day?
So it's adult vocational training.
Yeah.
So there are a range of courses. I mean, Pitman historically was famous for its shorthand, founded by Sir Isaac Pitman 170, 180 years ago.
No way.
And it was shorthand, and then it was typing, and then office skills, so secretarial stuff, historically. But now we've got so many more courses. So we do accounts training, we do marketing, we do IT, we do software development, we do web design, as well as the stuff that we've always done, which is the Microsoft courses. And it's designed really to help people to get on, to get promotions, to get new jobs, to change careers, to get back into work if they've had a break.
So would you work with a business to upskill their staff, would you, as well?
Yep.
Interesting.
I mean, one of our biggest clients is the NHS.
Right.
Yeah. And they will buy a particular suite of our courses aimed at medical administration staff. So it could be medical terminology training or medical audio transcription. And they know how good the quality of the stuff that we do and the level of support that we offer them is. So, you know, they come back to us year after year after year, and we've got a great relationship with them. But they're not the only ones, of course. You know, we've got lots of corporate partners who we deliver training for with their staff, and then lots of private individuals invest in themselves.
No.
Which is great, really, because, you know, I think as an employer, which I am as well, if somebody comes to me and says, I've invested in myself to get on, to step up, to give me a new opportunity, whatever it might be, that's great. Hats off to you. Instead of waiting for somebody else to invest in you and to spend their money on you, when you do it for yourself.
Just even them doing that makes you want to.
It does.
Want them not even more. The fact that they've gone and done that. Yeah. In fact, it doesn't matter about what training they did. The fact, the motion to go and do that. It
speaks volumes about their character, doesn't it? And their desire or attitude, whatever it might be. So we get lots of people who are self-investing, if you like, in order to get on.
I love that. I never even thought about that as an employer. But we do training. We give people training on moving people up in their job, but then having an avenue for them to go and do whatever they want to.
Yeah, I understand.
So, Pitman started 2015. Just had your little boy.
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
So you've had Pitman since then, Birmingham since then.
Yes.
What's the team there like then?
Fantastic.
Well, how many people have you got working for you?
So across my Pitman business, because I've got multiple sites now.
Have you?
Yeah, there's 26 of us running the Pitman business. So we've got sites, or I've got territories, if you like, as a franchisee in Birmingham, Sheffield, Nottingham, Leicester, Cardiff, Clapham, and Cambridge. Currently.
Oh, you're not messing about, are you?
We're not messing about. No, I think if you're going to do something, you've got to have a proper go, haven't you? So
you have all them territories.
Yes.
And you've got 26 staff.
Yes.
Mate, wow.
Yeah.
Hats off to you.
Oh, thank you. And do you know what? I always say this, and I'll say this to any of my team as well, no secrets. The most pleasurable thing about running a business And the hardest thing about running a business are the same things, and it's the staff. Yeah. It's your team. Because when you get it right, it's brilliant. Yeah. And you've got people that you absolutely trust and you know will do a wonderful job, and they'll apply themselves, they'll work hard, and they get great results. And we've got so many of them across our business. And then, over the years, we've had learning opportunities as well.
I love that phrase, learning opportunities. That's a good one. I'm going to start using that myself.
Yeah, and it helps me to improve my ability to recruit, shall we say, because I know where the mistakes have been.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel that leads into company culture. Yeah. I feel like it takes... this is harsh, but I feel like it takes some people to come and go to realise what you don't want.
It does.
And then you start buckling down on, right, okay, this is the type of person we need in this business. Yeah. And obviously you do take more personalities on, and that changes the culture sometimes, which is a good thing because it presses the culture. But I feel like you get to where, right, this is the type of people that work in our business. Yeah. This is the sense of humour that we have in this business. That's right. This is the sort of motivation type of people we have in the business.
I want people who feel like they own some of it. Not that they've got shares in the business particularly, but I want them to feel responsible and take pride in their location. Yeah. So we have training centres. So in Birmingham, for example, Asma and Harriet and Caroline took it on themselves to refresh, to repaint, to go with some of our brand colours and paint one of the walls, and put some new literature up and a different way of displaying things and tidy up and move around. And I thought, that's fantastic. I didn't ask them to do it. They just said, you know what, Chris, a fresh pair of eyes on this place, it needs something different. Yeah. And they went ahead and did it. They feel like they own it. Yeah. And I always talk about our business like our business. Yeah. So I know that, I'm the franchisee, and I know that it's on paper, I'm the sole owner, if you like. But it's our business because we all enjoy the rewards that it brings. Yeah. If we don't recruit students, if we don't make enough sales, let's be honest with you, and the revenue's not high enough or the profit's not where it needs to be, it puts us at risk. Yeah. So when we all do our bit and we all chuck in, then we all enjoy the rewards that come from that. Yeah. Whether that be a financial reward or another type of reward. Because there's nothing like seeing a student, beaming because they've achieved something.
That's
or a
the
result,
sweet spot, isn't it?
Got a job or whatever.
Yeah. That's the sweet spot, isn't it? Because we don't just do it for hugs. No. So we all want paying. Yeah. But at the same time, if you can get a job, it is rewarding, and they do that. That's the sweet spot, isn't it?
You're absolutely right. We don't do it for hugs, but we don't only do it for money either.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. Interesting. I love that. I had no idea you had that many staff and that many franchises. I'm so impressed. I'm blown away.
Bless you.
It's mega, that, isn't it?
There you go.
So you're at this stage now.
Yeah. What's next?
Now you're a franchisor.
Yeah. So
why and how has this happened?
Okay, so and this is interesting.
It's not like you've not got enough on your plate.
No, I know. And you can't do it without a great team.
And how long is this? Tell everyone what it is. Tell me how long. How's it start? Come on, start.
Okay,
what's it called?
I'll backtrack a tiny bit. So once I'd been a Pitman franchisee for 7-ish years, the Pitman network was bought out by a Canadian-based company called Launch Life International. Right. It was actually bought out on the same day as I invested in Pitman Training in Cardiff. And I remember sat around a table at a meeting where we were told that Pitman had been sold. So the old owners, Claire and Carell, had sold it to this Canadian education company. And I'm about to spend the largest amount of money I've ever spent aside from buying my house on a new business. So I sit in this meeting and think, new owners, and I'm going to spend a whole load of money on a new business. Wow. And squeaky bum time type of thing. Yeah. You get a bit nervous. Is this the right thing to do? Will these new owners be right for me? Will I be right for them?
You buy an existing territory in Cardiff, were you?
Yes.
How much did you buy it for?
I think I paid about £62,500, something like that.
No, mad. Yeah. Big decision, that, isn't it? Like it's a big decision to make at that point.
Well, it is. I'm sat at the table and we're about to sign the contract, and I discover I've got a new business.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I very quickly decided that Launch Life wouldn't be investing in Pitman if they weren't going to look to grow it. They weren't buying it to close it. Yeah. They weren't owners of a competitive brand looking to get us out of the way and build their own business. They wanted to grow it. Yeah. And so that was only going to be a good thing. And it's turned out only to be a good thing. They're absolutely wonderful. And my relationship now with the owners of Launch Life is really strong. And actually, it's because of that relationship that my next opportunity came about. So relationships are important in business, aren't they? We know that anyway, but this is how it played out. So Launch Life took over, and then over the next year or two, I get to know the players at Launch Life.
Yeah. How big is Launch Life?
They have, don't quote me on the numbers, there's 6 brands they operate. Yeah. So Pitman Training is one of them. School is Easy is another, which we're going to talk about more in a minute. Yeah. And then there are some which they operate in North America. And I believe they have over 350 educational outlets across the world. So, so they're a big company.
Yeah, they're a big company.
Yeah, a giant in the world of education, if you like.
I'm stopping you in tracks. Carry on. Go on.
So I built this relationship with these guys at Launch Life, and I've said to Daryl, who's one of the owners, at some point in my career, I want to be the franchisor. I like being a franchisee. You know, it's served me well. I've grown a business. We've got a great team. You know, we have a nice lifestyle and all of those things. But I'd like to be the franchisor. I'd like to sit on the other side of the table at some point. And then he came to me a year or so later, maybe 18 months or so, talking about a brand called School is Easy. They'd invested in this organisation. They actually bought it from the founder a few years before, and we're now looking to expand this brand across the world. And Darren and I had a conversation about how we might work together to bring that brand into Great Britain, basically. And so then in mid-2020, I became the master franchisee for School is Easy. And, you know, that was a really interesting time to do it. Yeah. Really interesting for a whole number of reasons. You'll know we're in mid-pandemic.
Yeah.
So here's Chris investing in a new business. Is that a smart thing to do? I don't know. I like to think it was. We'd had some real trials and tribulations at home. It was just... The Queen said that when Windsor Castle had the fire, it was Annus Horribilis for her. 2020 was Annus Horribilis for us. It was just I don't want to repeat that year. Even though we made that investment in School is Easy, which I'm pleased about, lots of other things happened which weren't great.
Are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah. Some of the things you'll be like, happens, and some of the things are horrible. So it started off, we lost our dog. Yeah. She, you know, and we love our pets. We're a real pet family.
Yeah, you've got pets, everyone's just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So she had bone cancer, and we had one of her legs taken off to give her an extended life. It didn't give us quite the 6 months we hoped. It gave us 4. And she was wonderful, but we lost her at the start of the year. My wife was diagnosed with cancer at the start of the year.
Oh my God.
So dog, and then Gemma's not well. And then her nan died. 4 weeks later, her granddad died.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. And then towards the end of the year, she lost her horse. Now, whilst I say 2020 was Annus Horribilis, all those things are horrible. Yeah. We're living through COVID. We're living through the fear of lockdown. Yeah. And don't forget, because at that point, my wife was then having treatment, which included chemotherapy. Yeah. Her immune system is severely compromised at a time when COVID is at its peak. So there's lots of fear around that. So it was very difficult for people to spend time with us and with her. We had to go for an operation on our own. I dropped her off at the hospital door.
Oh my God.
I couldn't go and visit her when she was in recovery. And all I could do was then pick her up when she came out. And all that stuff was horrible.
Yeah.
But actually, at the end of the year, we got the call from... You know how people look up to heroes, right?
Yeah.
And little boys will have a picture of Cristiano Ronaldo on the wall, and that's my hero. Or I'm not being sexist here, but a little girl may have a Darcy Bussell and say, that's my hero. Yeah. A little boy might too, and that's entirely great. My heroes are Dr. Beleaguer and Dr. Alos.
I don't know who they are. Oh, the two doctors. Oh, right, yeah.
Because at the end of the year, we got the call to say she got the all clear.
Oh.
So 2020 was Annus Horribilis, and it was also the best year ever, aside from having our kids.
I'm so glad to hear she's all right now, mate.
And she is, and she is all right. She's fine. She's cured. She's sorted. She's done. And we hope never to have to go down that road again. And so we're balancing now in 2020. We're balancing a business which is struggling because of COVID.
Yeah.
So the bit I didn't tell you, in amongst the animals and my wife and the grandparents, is actually from March to April in 2020, our business lost 70% of its income in a month. So we've got a couple of dozen staff to look after.
Yeah.
And I know the government did put some support around businesses, which was really good, important and helpful. But it was a scary time for them as well.
Yeah.
So, my focus is almost entirely on Gemma.
Yeah.
We've got 26 staff, therefore I consider 26 families to feed.
100%.
Yeah. We're in this pandemic, and then I think, you know what, let's go and buy a business as well.
Mate,
distractions maybe.
It must have been a distraction, I think so, yeah.
So that's how that 2020 played out. And
Mate, you've got some balls, haven't you?
If you're going to do something, you've got to go all in, yeah?
Mate.
Well, the footballers say leave it on the pitch, don't they?
Mate, I swear. Wow.
I'm either courageous or something else. But no, I believe you can do something, you do the best of your ability. Yeah. And you've got to look at your motivation as well. Why do you do what you do? Why do you make the decisions you make? Yeah. And all I have to do is look around me, and I see those two boys, and I just think, you know what?
Yeah.
I want to give them the best. Yeah. And actually, above and beyond that, there are other reasons that we do what we do. But I think it starts with giving them the best opportunities I can give them, and being a good example, if you like, and saying, tough stuff happens in life, and we've got to figure out ways of dealing with it and keep moving forward. Yeah. So I purchased School is Easy in the middle of 2020, and then we set up on recruiting franchise partners and launching that brand into the UK. And it is a journey for us. It's an education for us. It's good fun. It's testing. It's trying.
Tell me what it is. Tell me what it is exactly.
So School is Easy is tutoring.
Tutoring.
Yeah. So it's in-home tutoring for young people, really. Whilst adults can have tutoring, of course they can. It's pretty much from the age of 5 to about 17. Yeah. And you hit your hot spots through the year of 11 plus GCSEs, A-levels.
Yeah, it's GCSE time now, isn't it? Coming up, isn't it?
Just had the results. Yeah. Yeah. And so we provide tutors either in-home or online, for those families, for those students who require tutoring, extra support. And it's a massive market.
Yeah, but it is.
Absolutely huge. Inside London, 40% of kids have had a private tutor. Across the country, it's 25%. Yeah. That's an awful lot of children.
I remember, I had a tutor. I saw my brother.
There you go. Yeah. Awful lot of children have had a private tutor. So it is a big market, and it should be quite a resilient market, which is why we chose to invest in it during COVID. COVID created something called learning loss. Kids miss loads of school. Yeah. And so we believed, and still do, that the opportunity off the back of the learning loss in COVID means that more people will be looking at private tutoring. The government agree. They put £1 billion into the national tutoring programme. Right. Lost my train. We'll edit this bit out.
So don't leave it in. So you've grown that now. Yeah. How many franchisees have you got now?
Okay, so as we speak, we have 11 territories.
11 territories? Yeah. You've still got 26 staff in all them territories in Pitman?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. But you can't do it on your own.
Yeah. So the School of Easy, is it the same group of people for Pitman, or is it different group?
No, different people.
Different people.
Different people.
So how many have you got working with School of Easy?
5 people look after School is Easy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mate, I think it's amazing. We've got a pretty big team here. We're getting to 20 here, and every time I take someone on, I think, I'm doing the right thing, because it's taking a family on usually because of the age bracket of people you employ, and you think, right, they've got some skills, but I need to figure out what the bad points are and work on them as well as the good points, and what can I give them and what can I offer them for longevity. So I think a lot of people don't realise that when you're employing people, that you have to consider all that when you're employing someone. You don't just all bum on a seat and give them a job.
And in a small business like ours, every time you recruit somebody, you've got to free somebody else up to spend time and develop them and work with them, or you do it yourself, which means you're not doing other things. So the impact on the business is immediate because somebody's not doing something they were doing a week or two ago. And the investment the business makes is bigger than the salary that you're paying to somebody. Yeah. So it is a really, really important decision. And I tour with it all the time. I was having a conversation with Paul Lewis on the way up, you know, Paul, about should I expand my team in a certain way, because I'm thinking about taking somebody else on. And just trying to decide really, is it the right thing for the business to do at this time? Yeah. Should we wait? Should we not do it? Should we do something different? And these conversations with yourself, if you like, ones you're always having.
Because it sounds like you're quite ambitious, aren't you? So that's what I was going to lead on to, is sort of what's the next step, and you've sort of answered that now. Is you going to grow Pitman? Are you happy with that? Are you just going to see if you can make what you've got bigger, or are you going to get more territories, and then how's that going to work?
Good question. It'll be my ambition for a number of years to grow my Pitman business to 10 territories. Yeah. At the moment, we've got 7 operating territories. We've got 9 that we work within, if you like, because we're in the process of moving territories with one of the locations. So to get to 10 shouldn't be too much of a stretch. So that was always my goal with Pitman. Now, whether it means I keep the 8, 9 I've got now and add one more, or whether it means we sell one, buy one, we'll see. But 10's the goal. And then with School is Easy, it is to grow our network, of course. It's to grow our network via number of franchisees, via number of territories, because some franchisees have more than one territory. And also, of course, to grow our revenue, because we don't do it for hugs. Yeah.
It's a good saying that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, look, mate, I can't tell you how much I'm blown away. I think it's so admirable that you've got 26 staff in Pitman and another 5 doing that. I just know from managing staff myself and growing it myself how difficult that difficult that piece of work is. Just never minding the amount of business you've probably got on, and the amount of clients you probably have, and the amount of business development and all that sort of sexy stuff. Just managing that team of people and giving them the opportunity, and then letting them expand your business with you and going on that journey. It's amazing, isn't it?
You have to have people you know, like, and trust. Yeah. That's it, top and bottom of it. But you know what? It's great. And if you'd have said to me 10 years ago, you know what, Chris, this will be what your business looks like in 10 years' time, I think I'd have snapped your hand off and I'd have gone, yeah, that's great. I'll have that. Yeah. But as I sit here now, I'm not ungrateful by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm thinking, must be more. There must be more. There must be, not there's more income or more turnover or more people, but is it as satisfying as I thought it might be? That's a really interesting question that I ponder often, and it's not an ungrateful thing. It isn't. I think that you hear stories of CEOs of multi-billion-dollar organisations reaching the top of the tree and go, "Is this it?" Yeah. And it's not about being ungrateful. It's about fulfilment, and where do you get fulfilment in your life? And I think as humans, we're always seeking the next thing to give us that sense of fulfilment, aren't we? And it wouldn't be right if we didn't push.
So this is where I think is. I think your fulfilment, and it could be for you as well, is my fulfilment is progression. Yeah. Does that make sense? So as long as I'm progressing and going on a journey, I feel fulfilled.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's what I feel like. It's not like a monetary thing. It's not an ego thing. It's more just knowing that it's happened so far and bringing lots of people along the way with it. That's where I get my passion and my drive from. Is going along and progressing further and just seeing how much more I can bring and who else can come on the journey, and creating that environment and everyone love working there.
I'm totally with you. And when you sit in the seat that you're sitting in, or the seat that I'm sitting in, and we're blessed to have a team of people working with us, we owe it to them to grow. We owe it to them to move forward, to give them opportunities, to give them better returns, to give them a better working environment, to give them more tools, whatever it might be. Our responsibility is to our team, so as much as it is to our customers or our network or whatever it might be.
I think, your team's the most important part.
Yeah. Richard Branson says, I think, Richard, don't sue me if I get you wrong. It's not the customer that's always right. It's the colleague, if you like, the member of staff. We'll always back his staff, his team first. Yeah. And I kind of have some sympathy with that perspective.
I completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree. Okay.
As long as you've got the right people.
Yeah, I think, again, that goes back to culture though, doesn't it? It goes back to taking on the recruitment culture. And then I also found, what I've found over the years is it's people. Some people are on a journey with you as well, and I would love to think every single person that works with me right now is going to stay with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It isn't reality.
Yeah.
And things in their lives change, which then means that they have to move on. And that's been a big lesson learner for me, is learning that good people will move on. And it's not always your fault, it's just the circumstances. As long as you give them the best journey you can, I think
it's absolutely fab that people can move on. Not that you want to lose your good people, but if you can have given them an opportunity so they can elevate and step off your bus at some point and go and do something different. I think that's absolutely wonderful. And I can think of a couple of our colleagues that I have a lot of time and affection for, who we've been able to do that with. The first one was Caitlin. She came along to us as an 18, 19-year-old, and I knew full well she'd be with us for a year or 18 months or so. And all I wanted to do was to give her a leg up so that she got some experience and she could go off and build her career somewhere else. And that's exactly what we did. And she goes with my best wishes and blessings. And it's absolutely fantastic we're able to help her with that one. Another one is Rob. Rob grew up in Lithuania. He came to England. He invested himself in an AAT Level 2 course. AAT is the Association of Accountancy Technicians. Yeah. So he invested himself in that. We got to know him as a student. And then when we needed somebody to do some bookkeeping for us, as we were growing, we thought we'd better take somebody on to do some bookkeeping and some accounts preparation. Rob was then doing his AAT Level 3 and we recruited him. And Rob worked with us for probably a couple of years out of Birmingham. As our business grew, his responsibilities grew, and he continued on his qualification pathway through Level 4 and beyond. And then he said, look, Chris, I now want to go and work full-time in accounts at a higher level. And actually, he went back to Lithuania to do that, and he's based in Lithuania today. But he still does our accounts for us. We have somebody else who does other parts of our bookkeeping and account stuff, but he does our final accounts. And I think it's absolutely brilliant that we were able to take this young and fresh-faced guy doing a Level 2, which is effectively like a GCSE level, and work with him for a few years through to beyond Level 4, where now he's working full-time in the world of accounts, back in his home country, having an experience of living abroad, but he's still working with us, so we're still getting the fruits of the investment, if you like. But he's developing the career he wants to develop. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
I'm stoked for him.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I love that. I was trying to think of one equally as cool for you, but I've not got one. Jamie, who's recording this podcast with us today, he came on as a Kickstart scheme.
Okay.
And then we're now doing a marketing apprenticeship.
Fab.
And then we bought all the equipment and he's been doing our social media. But that's what I'm talking about, this bit of work.
Brilliant. Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it? I love that.
Brilliant. And you know what? He'll look back and he'll think, thanks for the start, wherever he ends up in his career. And that was me at West Brom.
Yeah.
As a 17 and a half, nearly 18-year-old, I joined them on a youth training scheme.
Yeah, that's a credible one, that one, isn't
it? Making the tea and the coffee and sticking a few files in the cabinet for a few months. And then I was taken on into the branch network. And you never know who you're going to meet and when. So you heard me talk about my mentor, if you like, who's Tony. And it was when I was on my youth training scheme in the training department at the Building Society. He was having a meeting with his then regional managers, and I just took some tea and coffee in and just fetched and carried and attended, if you like, to whatever they wanted. And afterwards he came, he said, I thought you were really good. I didn't do much, but he said your personality came through. You were smiling, you were happy, you were helpful. Nothing more than that. I didn't do anything difficult or complicated, but I wanted to impress. Yeah. When I turned 18 a few months later, he was the one responsible for saying yes or no, you can have a job in the branch network full-time and permanently, which of course came with a significant bump because I was only on youth training scheme money.
The world changed.
Yeah, my world changed. Yeah. And then from then, like I say, he guided me and helped shaped me as I am.
So at that point when you were doing youth training scheme, you decided that day I'm going to try and do a good job. Yeah. And you had no idea at that point, though, that was going to be the dictatorship.
You don't know what's going to happen. Let me tell you what happened with the West Brom before that, by the way, and this is why we shouldn't give up on stuff. I went to an open evening at the West Bromwich Building Society where they were recruiting, in essence, cashier staff for their branches. And they must have had 20-odd vacancies across their network. So ran an open evening. Anybody could turn up and be interviewed. And if they liked you, you'd be carried forward to a second stage. Well, I went along to that interview and I didn't get the job.
Why?
I just didn't get the job. I don't know why they didn't give me the job, but they didn't give me the job at that time. And then it was a few months later when I came back to the West Brom as a youth trainee, and joined them on that scheme. Different recruitment manager, if you like.
Imagine if you hadn't bothered.
Imagine if I hadn't bothered, exactly. So I joined them on that scheme, and then my career flourished, and actually I was then promoted above and beyond people who declined me in the first place.
Mate, I'm absolutely flabbergasted by your career path and what you've done with yourself. I'm so inspired.
Do you know what? That's really nice of you to say, and I don't know if I'm wired the wrong way, but I say, yeah, but look at him over there, or look at you and what you're doing, or whatever it might be. Elon Musk just bought Twitter for 44 billion. Oh, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no, but I think it's just inspiring to hear what you've done, how you've gone through it. You know, as a family, all the personal stuff, as well as going to network and then creating a new franchise, taking that on board, and then God knows what's going to happen next year for you. You know, going to grow your franchise network, buy some more Pitmans and all that sort of stuff. I think it's
become a podcaster like you.
Yeah, become a podcaster. Mate. I don't know where this podcast is going to go, but I think it's this conversation is the reason why we're doing it, and I really admire you and I thank you for coming on. But I think we'll call it a day at that. Okay. But mate, absolute pleasure to meet you. You know, I'm really glad I've got to know you.
Bless you.
And a very inspiring story. Cool. Thanks for coming on.
You're very welcome.
Cheers.